I wasn't winking at him, I was just nodding and give him a signal. Empowerment takes the form of academic, economic, and political. And in order for any immigrant community to be empowered, those facets of empowerment must be ingrained within the community. And today we have perhaps the most vocal attorney in the Guyanese Indian community, Caribbean Indian community in New York. His name is Albert Baldeo. He has been with us on many rallies, events, conferences, and I introduce you to him now to bring us this word on political empowerment of the community. Albert? Let's see if we can fit this. Okay.
Good afternoon, my brothers and sisters. Or shall I greet you in Namaste, Salam Alaikum, or Sitaram. The need for political empowerment dawned upon me. I'm building on Dr. Girdhari's presentation. I'm a neighbor of him in Richmond Hill. And in many ways, we share the same views. I come from Guyana originally, and I've come to live, or to try to live the American dream. Had a very good life in Guyana, was a magistrate, prosecutor, a judge, had just about everything. And then in 1986, I lost a child due to brain damage because of lack of proper medical facilities. So I found that we had to move to another country like America in search of a better life. And this is the story of so many of you, for some reason or another, search for better opportunities and in search of a better life. And when I came to America, I found that we were marginalized. We were sitting on the outside, looking in. And I found that there are many problems that came to my office where I have a free consultation, that there are many problems I couldn't solve as a lawyer. I couldn't litigate them in court because the law was not in place. Because of the fact that we never had a seat at the table, and it still happens to today, that we never had a stake in politics as to what is our problems, what are the solutions, and someone to take that voice to the state legislature, to Congress, or even to the city council, because none of us has ever been elected to that position. To their credit, the Chinese American have John Liu, who is a councilman, and a very good one at that. But in our community, we have no one who sits in the halls of power, or the halls where decisions are made, or sits at a table where funds and resources are allocated to our community. And that is a crying shame, because of the fact that we are such a vibrant community. Economically, we have made it to America, we have lived the dream. But politically, we are not even on the radar screen. And those were the words said to me when I tried to get the endorsement of the county organization, because they said, your people don't come out and vote, they don't really matter. And that is a very sad state of affairs. So I thought as leaders of the community, I would share these thoughts with you on our journey to empowerment. And the need for political empowerment is very desperate. And it must be done yesterday. Because just about every other group that comes to America have made it and have taken a seat at the table, so that resources come to those communities. As a matter of fact, they don't have the same overcrowded classrooms that our children have to go through. They have certified teachers in every classroom. They have computers, they have libraries, they have after-school programs. They have just about everything, and we don't have any, because our kids are made to suffer. And that is a trap, because that's a vicious cycle of poverty. Because your kids and our kids will never be able to live the maximum American dream because of the fact that we'll be kept within those, I call it the granite ceilings. It's no longer the glass ceilings, because it's difficult for you to break out of that cycle. And that is what has happened to our kids. The kids in Ozone Park and Richmond Hill and many other parts where Indo-Caribbean immigrants live are very underchanged where resources are concerned. Also in medical care, our seniors do not have enough health care. Nor do we have reasonable prescription drugs that our seniors can afford or our babies can afford. We do not have the type of facility that we should have. Canada leads us in this. Many other countries are better than what we have. So there are two sections of Americans, in my view. First of all, you have the first-class Americans, which do not include any of us, and the second-class Americans, to which we have sort of relegated ourselves unless we empower ourselves. I have passed out some flyers to you of my last race where I came at 49%. I came within 1 percentage point of capturing the state Senate seat, which is a seat that does not only consist of Indo-Americans, but consists of Hispanic Americans, Irish Americans, Italian Americans, Afro-Americans, just about every person from the broad mosaic of God's wonderful children. And here it is, we were able to relate on common grounds that they too have a problem and that we can show leadership as we strive for political empowerment. And that was my journey, because I was blessed with having my last child just 3 years ago to replace, perhaps in some divine work of God, the child that I lost in 1986. And I carried that inspiration with me that I would like to see a better life for kids. And not only for him, but the kids of that group growing into the next generation. So that the torch that has been, and the battles that have been won for us from Dr. Girdhari and the other leaders before us must pass from generation to generation. And that is, if you do not take anything from this room today, you must take the fact that we need political empowerment and we need to take a seat at the table, because that is where all the decisions are made. That is where it counts, and that is where it matters. Because at the end of the day, unless we can occupy that table, we will forever be living as second-class citizens in this great land of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And we will never be able to live the American dream as it should surely be lived. And we'll never be able to embrace the greatness of America. We will always be on the outside, looking in. Now, the great Mahatma Gandhi said that you must be the change you want to see in the world. And that must be the guiding inspiration for each and every one of us today. That we must take the mantle of leadership, and that we must similarly be able to set by our lives in whatever field, as Dr. Girdhari was saying, in whatever field we embrace, whether it's in the political field, whether it's in the legal field, whether it's in the economic field, we must be able to show that example to the world that we have come and we have arrived, and that therefore we are therefore mentors and leaders in this society. It is not a stroke of genius, nor is it mere coincidence that you would find that Indo-Caribbean districts are divided into all sorts of nonsensical equations. If you look at the shape of the districts, you will find that there's no logical sequence to having this district shaped like that. As a matter of fact, Richmond Hill community has been divided into 2 districts. First, one belongs to Councilman Tom White, and the other one to Councilman Joseph Adabo, an Italian American. And hence, we're not being able to put together the votes to win that one seat, the council seat. Nor are we able to put together the votes in the assembly district, because it's divided by Assemblywoman Michelle Pfeiffer, an Italian American, Michelle Titus, who's an Afro-American, Brian McLaughlin, now replaced by Rory Lansman, who's a Jewish American. But we have never had a single seat, as it should be, where people of one origin and people of one commonality, like Indo-Caribbeans or from whatever part of the world, are able to occupy a seat at the table so that we can have common resources and common goals, common problems answered. And that is not mere coincidence. That is where we need to send a message to those that draw these districts and to the political powers that be, that we need a seat at the table. We need our own district just like everyone else. This is what democracy is all about, that everyone should have a stake in how their affairs are done. After all, we pay taxes just like everyone else, and we make the same sacrifices. As a matter of fact, we make more, because the janitors and the cashiers and the babysitters and the many of us who get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and come back till in the evenings at 8 o'clock come from our community. Those that go on the train and go to New Jersey and have to leave their homes for a whole week. Those are the people that come from our community, so that the Wall Street tycoons can take home their millions whilst we slave and some menial task at below minimum wage, and we help to progress them and propel them further to economic prosperity. And they make that based on our backs. They build their wealth on our backs. But in introspection, we have a lot to blame because of the fact that we are also not very active in the political arena. We have come with a stigma that politics is dirty. Politics is not for me. Politics is something we should not be involved in. My brothers and sisters, that is one of the worst mistakes that we have made as a community. Because of the fact that if we don't get involved, no one is going to